Hi, it's me, Teacher Arlene once again, and welcome for another fun and exciting lessons in English on this channel. Every day of our lives, we always have to connect things like social medias for us to be aware of things around us. And everything we read, we used to connect this in our own experiences, knowledge, and emotions. So, that is what we are going to talk about on this video lesson. Before we begin our lesson, let me ask you this. Have you experienced the following? Crying while reading. Laughing while reading. Feeling scared while reading. Now, how do these emotions happen while we are reading? It's simply because connections. Remember that your past experiences, emotions, and knowledge are the keys for you to be engaged in how? By using your own experiences and prior knowledge, you can connect and relate it to yourself. With this, it would be easy for you to understand and enjoy reading.
So, making connections is a critical reading comprehension strategy that helps in defining what you are reading. When making connections to the text you're reading, it helps you to make sense of what you read. It retains the information better and engage more with the text itself.
How do we make connections then? So there are three types in making connections. So you can make connections through
Text to self. These are connections when you connect what you are reading to personal experiences or knowledge. Example, this story reminds me of a vacation that I had on a beach, just like the main character. Example, just like Dr. Jose Rizal, I also started learning the alphabet when I was 3.
the sentence is an example of a text-to-self connections. There is a connection between the text and your own experience.
So, in making text-to-self connections, here are the questions that you can use as your guide. What does this remind me of in my life? How is this similar to my life? How is this different from my life? Has something like this ever happened to me? How does this relate to my life? What are my feelings when I read this?
You can make connections between text to text.
These connections are made when you can connect what you are reading to other books that you read or listened to before. You can make connections that show how the books share the same author, have similar characteristics, events, or settings, are the same genre, or are on the same topic. A solid text-to-text connection occurs when you are able to apply what you have read from one text to another text.
Readers gain insights while reading by thinking about how the information they are reading connects to their familiar text.
Example, I read a book about venomous spiders. Then, I remember an article I've read before showing the top 10 dangerous spiders of the world. This would be an example of a text-to-text connections. Example: Dr. Jose Rizal's intelligence reminds me of Ophelia Morgan Du. At the age of 3, she is already a member of Mensa, a high IQ society.
This is an example of a text-to-text connections because there is a connection between the two stories.
For you to make text-to-text connections, you can consider these process questions. What does this remind me of in another book I've read? How is this similar to other materials I've read? How is this different from other books I've read? Have I read about something like this before?
You can make connections between text to world.
These are connections where you can connect what you are reading to real events, whether in the past and present time, social issues, other people, and happenings going on in the world.
We learn about things through television, movies, magazines, and newspapers. Often it is a text-to-word connection when the teachers are trying to enhance when they teach lessons in science, social studies, and literature.
You learn about the world from what you hear on TV, movies, magazines, and newspapers. An example of a text-to-word connection would be when a reader says, "I saw the news about how water pollution is affecting marine animals. It reminded me of the whale died in Davao Gulf of the Philippines, which starved to death because of 90 pounds plastic waste in its belly." Example: Dr. Jose Rizal studied hard and became a doctor to help his people. Just like the doctors during this COVID-19 pandemic, they also rendered their services selflessly.
It's an example of a text-to-word connection because there is a connection between the text and the real happening in the world.
For you to make this text-to-word connections, you can consider these process questions. What does this remind me of in the real world? How is this text similar to things that happen in the real world? How is this different from things that happen in the real world? How did that part relate to the world around me?
Do you understand now our lessons about making connections? Well, that's great to hear. In order for you to test if you really understand the lesson about making connections, to have it with you, your pen and the paper. Do you have it now? Okay, let's have the test.
What type of connections are the following? Dr. Jose Rizal studied and became a doctor to help his people, just like the doctors during this COVID-19 pandemic. They also rendered their services selflessly. The answer is text to world. Just like Dr. Jose Rizal, I also started learning the alphabet when I was 3. The answer is text to self. I read a story about a boy who visited a magical land with witches and wizards. It reminded me of the book Harry Potter. The answer is text to text. I read a book about how eggs are produced. It reminded me of my visit last summer to my grandparents' farm. The answer is text to self. The golden rule of Confucius, do unto others what others do unto you, reminds me of the passage that I read from Matthew 7:12 last Sunday. The answer is text to text.
Congratulations! You really understand now our lessons about making connections. And for your recap time, let's see if you could remember our lesson. So you have to try this one.
For your recap, fill in the correct word that's being defined or described. Blank, you connect what you are reading to personal experiences or knowledge. The answer is text to self. You can connect what you are reading to other books that you have read, listened to before. The answer is text to text. Connections, where you can connect what you are reading to real text, whether in the past and present. The answer is text to world. Is a critical reading comprehension strategy that helps in defining what you are reading. The answer is making connections.
Great job, grade 6! And that will be the end of our lesson about making connections. That will be all now. See you again for another video lesson on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share and like my YouTube channel. See you again, and always remember, we learn together, we rise together. This is Teacher Arlene saying, have a nice day.